Hi everybody, I'm Greg Fishel. Welcome to bonus weather video number 2 for this week. This is the one that was supposed to have come out on Wednesday. And the idea that I got was to sort of develop a little bit of a snow climatology for the Triangle area, and it ended up requiring an inordinate amount of work to get all the numbers that I wanted to get to be able to tell the story that I wanted to tell. So this is a couple of days late, but it is done now, and so I won't have to reinvent the wheel the next time I want to look at these numbers. And I want to give you a little bit of a heads up. Bonus weather video number 3, which does typically come out Friday and will come out today, is going to be an interview with another meteorologist that is going to be actually involved in something that I'm going to be involved in next week. So if that's not vague enough for you, that's about as vague as I can make it, but I think it's going to be fun and I think you'll find it interesting. So I'm going to be recording that interview at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and so I shouldn't have much trouble getting it out to you in a reasonable amount of time. So let's go on ahead and get on with things here. And let's see here, I just got to click on the screen and there we go. So what I did was, and some of this I had already done before, I just hadn't organized it the way that I wanted to, is that I took a look at all of the occurrences of measurable snow at RDU going all the way back to January of 1945. And this is anything greater than or equal to 0.1 inches, okay? Measurable precipitation is defined as 0.01 inches or more. That can either be rain or it can be liquid equivalent of sleet or snow or freezing rain or any of that stuff. So these are all the occurrences of 0.1 inches of snow or more. And the season, as I defined it, goes from the earliest occurrence that's ever been observed to the latest occurrence that's ever been observed. So that goes from November 6th until April 18th, okay? So that's the period of time each year, the window that I'm looking at. So here are all the times that there has been measurable snow in November, and you can see that it's only happened 8 times over the last, almost 80 years. So not a very common occurrence, but maybe a little bit more than you might have guessed. And the one there on Veterans Day, I guess it was November 11th, we didn't get all that much snow here, but up around the nation's capital, if I'm remembering this correctly, this was in the late 80s that they picked up almost a foot of snow up around Washington, D.C. Okay, so then as we head into the month of December, it becomes a little bit more normal to see at least something, but you can see here that most of these occurrences are just a one and done deal on that particular date, or in most cases, no more than 2. I think that one there on December 4th, that maybe that's occurred 3 times on that date, but it's still not all that common of an occurrence. Then we get into the months of January and February, and this is where the snow occurrences at least become somewhat more regular. Certainly not routine by any stretch of the imagination, but at least a little bit more regular. And you can see that the second part of January has way more of the tall bars there than the first part of the month. So for those of you that are snow lovers and you're sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, we're already almost a week into January and nothing's happened yet, there's no sign of anything happening for another week. Just from a climatological standpoint, we really don't get cranking here with any regularity if we're going to get something until the second part of January. And then in February, the entire month is scattered with occurrences. Some of them are fairly regular or significant, and others just barely qualify. I set an alarm for my phone, it went off, and so I'm going to turn that off so as not to interfere. And then as we head into the month of March, then as you might expect, things begin to settle down a little bit. But one of the most notable March snows was March 2nd of 1980. I was in Chicago, very, very depressed that we weren't getting any snow out there, and Raleigh was getting almost a foot, and Elizabeth City was getting 2 feet. That just didn't seem fair, but that's the way life goes sometimes. And then I also remember an event in late March, I think it was like 23rd or 24th, where we got about a half a foot. And the interesting thing I remember about that was I had a school talk scheduled the next day, And many times when you get these snows in this far south in late March, the next day it's like it can be sunny and 60, okay, and the snow just goes poof away. And so I had a school talk scheduled, I think at 1 o'clock up in Wake Forest, if I'm remembering correctly. And I forgot. It was so beautiful outside that I forgot that all the schools had been canceled that morning. So I got in the car after the noon show and roared on up there to find an empty parking lot. And it was sunny and 60 and there was no snow anywhere. But earlier that morning, obviously, it was a very, very different deal. So just those isolated memories that show up. And then finally, in the month of April, it's only happened twice. Measurable snow, April 11th and April 18th, and the April 18th was 1983. I remember it vividly because I remember being on the air Sunday night and looking at the numbers and saying, it wouldn't be impossible if we actually saw some flakes falling in the air tomorrow. And indeed we did. And at RDU, it ended up being 1.8 inches. Not all of that was on the ground at any one time, but 1.8 inches fell during that event. And that is the latest measurable snow ever at RDU. Okay, so in summary, these are a couple of the interesting points that I discovered. Number one, January has the most occurrences of measurable snow, 96 of them over this 79-year period, followed closely by February at 90. Interestingly enough, February 26th, that specific date, has the most instances of measurable snow. It's occurred 8 times on that date, and it's followed closely by the 16th of February, when there have been 7 times that there has been measurable snow on that particular date. So even though January wins the monthly battle, there are actually a couple of days in February that are pretty prolific, at least by North Carolina standards, in terms of getting snow. And measurable snow has never been observed on 56 of the possible 165 dates that span the time from November 6th until April 18th. So that's about, roughly about a third of the days during that period of time when there has never been measurable snow observed. So that's obviously a pretty large chunk of dates right there. All right, so that's it. All these numbers are now stored in Excel, so I can do all sorts of other interesting things with them should I choose to do so down the road. Hope you found that at least mildly interesting, and sorry for the 2-day delay. And I'll have that special interview for you coming up on bonus weather video number 3 for the week, coming up a little later this afternoon. So you all take care, folks, and we'll talk to you soon. See you later.